Before I begin, before we start the timer, I want to just, for our guests and newer members, I want to kind of give an overview that the evaluations we do are a little different in this club. We are doing 5 to 8 minutes. We are following some formats that we were given by the other accredited speakers group and this accredited speakers judges feedback. And so you will see longer ones. Also, because we are an advanced club, we are getting more down to nitty-gritties and more specifics. So even though some of our feedback and evaluations might sound a lot more tough and harsher, it's actually more, we are here honoring everyone as a great speaker already and fine-tooth and going into the nitty-gritties. And on that note, Mary Ann, it is always a joy to hear you speak. Some of the great things I love about what you do is you have this warmth and inviting quality that just really radiates from this stage. You have a nice comfort, even though I know you said at the beginning, this is the beginning of a project you're working on, you really have a good comfort in your skin around it. And I love just your personality and your warmth, and it is inviting for speakers. There are some things though I'm gonna fine tune, kind of tossing you to maybe fine tune. I'm kind of looking at this also as a spaghetti on the fridge. You might know the term spaghetti on the fridge. When I moved to New Jersey, I got into New York and New Jersey. Big Italian communities up there. And the way they make their spaghetti is they boil it up and then they throw it in the fridge, and if it sticks, it's ready. And if it doesn't, it falls off. So in this evaluation, I'm gonna throw more ideas. They're less criticism, but just some ideas I had. And the ones that stick on the fridge, great, and the ones that fall off, let them go. So nothing is actually saying do it a different way. It's just some ideas that came up while you were processing. So again, great comfort and security. You have a nice use of vocal variety. I think as you explore that, you can even expand it more. Your highs, your lows, your pauses. Great structure and content. And at the beginning, one thought I had at the beginning, when you're getting into it, there was a little kind of, I'm getting going, like a little getting started. Once you got in your skin and got away, and as you practice it, it's gonna get better. You were really good and more comfortable. I would maybe find some exercises or something you can do that work for you prior to taking the stage. Sometimes I go do push-ups. Sometimes I do like types of charge up things. So some exercises you can do so that when you get on that stage, you are owning it. And it's something you do off stage. It's a little actor's trick. For those of you who know Tony Robbins or any other things, they have kind of getting in state type of exercises. Things to improve. I love the power button story that came at the end. I think you could actually move that up. One of the, I got ahead of myself a little bit. One of the first things I would say when you're speaking to a large group of people, be sure to own your introduction. I was told that in a seminar, when you do keynotes and stuff, do not ever let anyone introduce you and make up your intro. You own it, you have the information in there you want, you give it to them. So that a lot of that can be there. But then when you start speaking, do a little more time to qualify yourself. Because we kind of jumped into your points, but you need to tell them who you are, tell them your journey, qualify why are you there. I've heard you use it before, and I think the story, also bringing them into your deep dive personally, the story of your husband and how that happened and how that transformed you is a place where people really connect with your courage and with what came out of it. And I love that piece that I've heard you use before. So to qualify yourself, not only am I here doing this, but this is why I'm qualified to do this. And the next step, I put open with some more humor or storytelling because you're such a great storyteller. And then you have that power button story at the end, which was hysterical. And I thought you could kind of start with that, put a story there to start with. Or some kind of questions or calls to action. Questions for people. How many of you sometimes feel there's a dragon inside fighting you and your self-confidence? So anything that you make the listener's brain connect with themselves, ask themselves, where is this for me, is a really good place. But some of that humorous stuff could be fun in the front. Then you got them, then you're connected, then you've earned the right now. So let me tell you some things I've learned, and then you can go on with that. I'd like to see as you build it, some connecting more with the emotions and words, particularly when you talk, and I've seen you do this before, but when you talk about your grief and your sadness, each word has a different weight, each word has a different value. So feel and be those words as you're connecting, and use the necessary pauses. Very clear, fun, and engaging. Last little thing I kind of want to put on, you had 5 great steps: self-inventory, ask better questions, step out. I would find on each one a little metaphor to connect with it. One that came to my mind was ask better questions. There's a great story that a lot of trainers use about how Gates got to become the top of Microsoft was not saying, how can I go make $1 million and do well? He asked a different question. How can I write the operating system that controls every single computer in the planet? Wow. So any metaphors and things you can connect up before you say the hows, the questions to ask. It's kind of like we saw Mehboob do that with the kudu. So that's just a metaphor you're using that has the listener connect up. And then you go, so then you can ask the questions. So, and I know you're probably on a time limit, so you may not be able to do it with every one of them, but metaphors for each one, or statistical and facts that validate some way that these steps are important. Then get into the asking the question. Finally, I definitely, and you asked if I was a writer, I would say, who else succeeded? Or I would say one thing that might be fun, even if you didn't incorporate it in the speech, was some kind of a handout or a tool where they were able to jot down as you're doing questions. You had some great ones there. All the self-inventory, and something that they can actually actively, a tool that they can actually then take away and do some kind of an exercise or structure, and that anchors it in even more. Overall, if I were a writer, I would get a lot out of this speech. I think it's a great one to keep working on, also because I think it's transferable. The tools you're giving could actually be rebranded for a group of businesswomen. It could be rebranded for high school students. It could be, this is a great core speech to have in your pocket, because I think a bunch of businessmen, I think it could really serve as a speaking tool in a lot of places. It's exciting to hear you at the beginning of this journey. I think this speech is gonna really round out. I think the more you bring all of that joy and warmth and passion that you have, this thing is just going to blow up and be one of your best speeches in your pocket. Thank you very much. No.